The only way that we can believe in a future is when we feel the emotion associated with it. Because if you feel the emotion associated with it, your body is your unconscious mind. It's so objective, it does not know the difference between the real life experience that's creating that emotion and the emotion that you're creating by thought alone. And so you're giving your body a taste emotionally of the future. The moment we become angry or frustrated or guilty or unworthy or afraid or anxious, we can't believe in that future any longer. Those emotions are associated with past memories. And those emotions cause us to behave as if we were in our past, make choices that are equal to our past, and believe in our past. And more people believe in their past than they believe in their future. And it's so much easier to forget your vision of the future than to remember it. And so if that's the truth, then if you understood that this emotion that you're feeling is really a creative emotion, living in fear and living in anger and living in hostility and hatred and judgment and resentment, that has nothing to do with your future. It has everything to do with the past. And so the problem is that we get addicted to those emotions that keep us connected to the past, and there's a story that goes with that past. And how you think, how you act, and how you feel is called your personality. And your personality creates your personal reality. That's it. So then you got to trade that emotion of your past, and that story's got to go with it. And when you overcome your emotions, you master your creations. And that's freeing the body from the past. So the person who wants to become wealthy, they got to romance wealth.
Romance it.
They have to romance it, and you have to start thinking about how a wealthy person would think, how a wealthy person would act, how a wealthy person would feel, and you would have to become that personality, and that personality really should begin to create some change in your personal reality. You know, the synchronicities that are not just parking spaces, not that stuff, but the bigger stuff that would stretch your belief so that when you see the synchronicity, all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, I created that. Is that possible that I actually created that? Now you start believing more that you're the creator of your reality instead of the victim of your reality, and that's the truth. And you cannot experience that truth unless you step in the realm of creation. And in order for you to arrive at that wealth, you have to make a very clear decision that that person who wants the wealth and who is in lack of having it is going to have to make a lot of changes to finally run into that goal or vision of their wealth. You can't create a new personal reality as the same personality. You got to become someone else. That means you got to give up some aspect of those unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that are programmed because we do them so much and think that way. And that's the hard part of change. And people do the work. I want to be really clear. They don't do the meditations to heal. They do the meditations to change. And understand that when I change, my body will change. My life will change. That's the experiment they're involved in. How many times do you have to forget until you stop forgetting and start remembering? That's called the moment of change. And that's catching yourself from defaulting seamlessly back to that old personality that has been programmed for us to be victims. That if you say to someone, why are you so unhappy? Why are you so mad? Why are you so angry? Oh, it's that person, it's that circumstance that's causing me to feel this way and think this way. Well, that's an unconscious program. A person is saying that someone in their outer world or some condition is controlling. It's controlling their feelings, controlling their thoughts. Anything that's controlling us, we're victims to. And that when coming out of your resting state and not allowing or waiting for someone or something to do it for you, but doing it on your own, wow, there's sovereignty and there's empowerment in that. That's how any person arrives at their dream. They just don't let their energy drop. And if they do, they get back into that state again. And they earn the belief in themselves. But we create based on lack. We create based on separation. You see the sports car, you see the wardrobe, you see the scene, you see the vacation, and you see that experience that you want. Your brain naturally goes, oh God, that would be so wonderful to be in that reality, to be in that future. Based on the lack of not having it, in the plane of duality and separation, the lack causes us to dream about having it. So the natural thing is to dream of a new possibility based on your understanding that you don't have that experience yet. You understand?
Yes.
So then now, that vision of that future, the brain naturally creates. For the passionate person, that vision where they're seeing that future, they put themselves in that future. And when they do that, they feel the emotion of that future. And they're actually doing that by thought alone. So once they feel the feeling of that future, they can believe in that future because they felt it.
Interesting.
Right? And they'll tell you there's nobody or no one or no circumstances. I know that I could create that. And you've all done it. Everybody in this room has done something great. And you kept that vision alive in your mind, and you got your behaviors to match your intentions. You got your actions equal to your thoughts. You got your mind and body working together. And we do this all the time. And then you run, and all of a sudden the synchronicities start to happen. Everybody's experienced this. And the next thing you know, the experience occurs, and you feel the emotion from that experience, and it takes away the lack or separation from not having it. So the emotion is the end product of the experience in three-dimensional reality. Another part of the brain called the chemical brain, the limbic brain, the emotional brain, begins to make chemicals to produce that emotion. And that emotion then takes away the lack. And now you say, I created that, and then you go to the next one. Now you can get really good at doing this. You could study, you could get schooled, you can get coached, you can learn from your mistakes, you could get disciplined, and you can accumulate more things. You can get better at doing that. But there is another way to create where you don't have to do so much. And those are laws that transcend just typical Newtonian laws. And what if you were to feel the emotion of the future before it happened every single day? Remember that feeling, and that feeling was for your heart to fall in love with your life, to fall in love with your vision. You'd have to awaken that heart. If you could do that and marry that with the vision of your future, I promise you it'll be easier to make choices to step into that future. I guarantee you, you'll believe in it and do things to advance yourself into that future, and you step right into it. So then, if it doesn't happen when we want it to happen, you know what I mean? Like, people stop me and they say, well, I've been creating my reality for 3 days, nothing happened. And I say to them, you're not that good. Like, I don't know what else to tell you. You're not that good. Or they'll say, how come I'm not living in Mallorca with my 2 dogs and a lover? I'm like, because the person who's living in Mallorca looks nothing like you. Like, that's not what the person looks like. So when it doesn't happen, the lack becomes greater.
And then what do we do?
Because lack is separation. And separation is based on time. And so when you imagine that vision of your future, you're putting your attention in a future reality. You have one point of consciousness, that's your future, and you are making the choice from this point of consciousness that that's where you want to go. And the distance between those two is called time. So time is based on lack or separation. Are you with me?
Yes.
And when it doesn't happen, we start to feel more lack and more separation, so we start to force outcomes.
So we try harder.
Try harder, we manipulate, we compete, we fight. Because trying is what you do when you're in lack. And so the person's living in separation their whole entire life, waiting for the event to occur to take away the feeling of not having it. And it could be their whole entire life.
Wow.
And that becomes a program. And so then if you could begin to experiment by changing your energy, could it change my life? That's the experiment. I'm just curious. If you started doing it, that you could actually shorten the distance between the thought of what you want and the experience of having it. And all of a sudden, you're no longer going anywhere to do it. It's kind of coming to you. Now, if you experiment like that and then you are successful at it and you start seeing the synchronicities, I guarantee you're going to keep it up.
Yes.
I guarantee you it's not going to be like, oh, God, I got to go fall in love with my future now.